Hey, this is Kyle at Projection Hub, and today I'm going to show you how to create a business plan for a bakery. Now, what this video is not going to be is I'm not going to write an entire business plan word for word right here in front of you. What I am going to do is I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to show you a typical outline of a bakery business plan, as well as highlight 5 key points you need to make sure you include in your business plan to have it in most tip-top shape possible you can, especially if you're trying to get approved for funding or financing for your business that your lenders are going to be looking out for. Now, who is Projection Hub? Projection Hub has helped more than 50,000 small businesses and founders create financial projections for their business plans, their loan applications, their investment pitch decks. And we've helped hundreds of bakeries create their financial projections for those same reasons. And who am I? As I mentioned, my name is Kyle. And before helping businesses with projections here at Projection Hub, I actually spent 7 years as a small business lender with an SBA or Small Business Administration lender, where I reviewed hundreds of loan applications, including some bakery business plans and their lending package to help them try to get approved for financing. Now, some of those were approved and some of those ultimately declined. And I'm going to share in those 5 key points some of those things that I learned that can really make your business plan shine. So if at any point you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to learn and get more regular information about how to grow your business, manage your business, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. We would love to have you. Now, going to go ahead and jump in now on the rest of this business plan. Okay, so first things first, why is your business plan necessary? Now, I know this sounds cliche because maybe it's obvious, but the purpose of your business plan is to not explain to the audience or to your lender the industry or what a bakery is, but instead it's to demonstrate your specific plan, your path to be successful. Because ultimately they're trying to decide if they're making an investment, whether that's with a loan or an equity investment. They want to see that their money is going to be returned to them. They want a return on their investment. That's going to be the interest you're going to pay on your loan. So they want to make sure they get their money back. And so purpose of this business plan, what you hand over to them, needs to be a solid roadmap, a believable roadmap that they would have high degree of confidence in you that would be successful. So you can see here in the table of contents kind of the outline we're going to talk about, but one thing you'll probably notice is that this only goes up to 9 pages. And a very common misconception is that your business plan needs to be really long. Now, if you need a 40-page, 50-page business plan for yourself to feel like you covered everything you possibly can and you're very prepared to launch this business, then definitely do that. That's a great exercise for you. But what you provide to your lender or whoever's going to be reviewing your business plan does not need to be 40 or 50 pages. Try to make it in that 5, 10, 15 pages. 5 is probably on the short end, but try to make it around that 10 pages, 15 pages, because you're going to hit the most important points. But we don't want to muddy those important points with, other very technical things that are important to your bakery, but maybe not to the lending decision. So what I'm going to do is we're going to scroll through this business plan. I'm going to cover each of the sections, and whenever I get to one of those 5 key points, I'm going to pause for a bit, dig into it, maybe even provide some examples, and then we'll keep going from there. So let's get to it. Okay, first off, we've got our executive summary. I want you to think about your executive summary kind of like a cover letter for a resume. You're applying for a job. So make sure your executive summary, keep it less than a page. This is where you're going to say the name, where you're located, maybe a mission statement. Do you have a specific vibe or something about the bakery you want to make sure is noted? Do you have some sort of special type of pastry or skill that's, unique? And then maybe, what are your total startup costs and how are you sourcing those? So if let's say it's $100,000 in startup funds and $70,000 is going to be a loan and $30,000 is going to be personal investment, you can say that really quickly in the executive summary because that helps, a potential lender or, whoever's going to be reviewing that get a quick idea of that. So that's where you would want to do that. Company description. Okay, so this is a little bit of an elaboration of what you just did, but I would say this is focused more on the ownership and the people involved. So we'll make this key point number 1. There's another section probably later on in the business plan that's kind of a 2-parter with this one, but in short, it is relevant industry experience. So a bakery is a really good example of a business that requires some skill, some experience. I wouldn't just wake up the next day and decide I can open up a bakery and be successful because I can't bake. So that does come with some required skill set. Now, there are varying degrees of certification in bakeries. If you're a patisserie or whatever it's called, and you went off to schooling, that's going to be a new different tier versus maybe you're an at-home trained baker and you make great cupcakes. So there's the room in the market for both, but that's an important designation. So what's important here is you need to demonstrate to your lender, why do you have, or what history or experience do you have, or a partner has, or a key employee has that's going to make this possible. So if maybe you have some significant amount of baking experience, or maybe you've worked at a bakery or managed a bakery before, great. That is perfect to put in there. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're coming from a day job a corporate day job, but you're opening a bakery and you're hiring your best friend, or you're going to be partners with your best friend who is, a highly skilled and trained baker. Great, put that in there. So it's not necessarily a requirement, I would say, but it's going to raise a lot of questions if you don't have some obvious relevant industry experience. So we really want to drill that in, and company description is a great place to do that. So make sure your lender knows that you guys know what you're doing. So yeah, that's key point number one. And then we will keep things moving along here down to the market analysis, which is where we're going to talk about key point number two. The purpose of your market analysis is you want to demonstrate that there is room in the market for your business to be supported. There's going to be enough customers in the market for you. If it's a highly competitive or maybe saturated market, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a no to get your funding. You got to have something in here that's going to be, you're going to be a disruptor. You're going to have some sort of momentum or advantage or secret sauce that's really going to disrupt things, that you're going to be able to get capture enough of those customers for you. So, what's a good way to do this? Because, especially if you're a mom and pop, or maybe, it's going to be a small business bakery, you don't have the resources to have an elaborate market research plan done, or measure how many cars are driving by, or that kind of thing, which I totally understand. Just go and do some good old fashioned Google researching. Okay. So as an example, let's do bakeries near me. Okay. I'm in this Fishers, Indiana, which is a suburb of Indianapolis. And I'm looking at what bakeries exist out there. Okay. So I know Kroger, that's a grocery store. It's kind of like a Walmart, right? So I know there's a few of those sprinkled around here, but okay, so there's a good chunk. I also know some of these are donut shops, which is very different. So that's a thing. Like if we were opening a coffee shop, one coffee shop to the next isn't as different from each other, right? There's bottom line, they're going to offer coffee. Maybe they offer some other things, but you can go to one coffee shop and another coffee shop, you still can get coffee. Bakeries are a little different, right? We already touched on this. There's specialties depending upon your skills or your education or your experience. So you might be labeled different if you do custom cakes, or if you're a cupcake shop, or maybe you focus on donuts, or maybe you focus on bagels. That can be very different. So when I look at this, at first glance, I might be like, wow, that's a lot of bakeries in one spot. On second thought, it's like, okay, maybe I don't know if there's a single bagel place in here. Maybe you love to make bagels. Okay. So this is a very basic example of understand. You want to know every single bakery or potential competitor within a 10-mile radius, I would say. You don't have to list those in your business plan, but you want to know them and then note the overlaps or the direct competition so that we can see, like, does it make sense? If you're questioned on that, include a little bit of that in your business plan. Another way we can go about doing this, another Google tool, Google Ads. You can make a free Google AdWords account and use this tool under Tools, Keyword Planner. This is basically demonstrating is when someone goes to Google and searches something, I can see how often people are searching for that thing. So I set my location for this example to be Fishers, which is around 300,000 people. And I want to know how often is it searched that someone says bakeries near me or pastries near me. And then the great thing about this is not only is it going to tell us how many times that's being searched, it's going to tell us the trend. Is that growing or shrinking? And then also it's going to give me other suggestions, right? Different products. Like I already mentioned, a French bakery, vegan bakery, cupcakes, cake shop, Mexican bakery, right? You have all these different examples. So it's going to help you identify that. So some things to point out, this is solid search volume, but what I'm really interested in here is this year-over-year change. So we can see up 51%, bakeries near me, cake shop near me is up, cupcakes are down a little bit, gluten-free is up, custom cakes are up, French bakery is up. So that can help you get a sense of what is the trend on different types of bakeries in that area. Because if I see growth, that might be an indication that it can continue to support more bakeries, versus if it was contracting, you might be, have a tough case. It's getting more competitive. So that is a quick example of how you can do some market analysis demonstration. It's not enough to just say, like, I live in the area and I know there's some bakeries. You got to put in some examples of the research that you're actually doing and you're actually thinking about that, and include that here in your market analysis. Another thing you might include is, are there schools, offices, like office parks? Are there churches? Are there grocery stores? These common cornerstone places that the people that would go would be a typical customer of a bakery. So that's something to keep in mind. Moving along, that was key point number two. Moving along, your product and service line. This is not one of our key points, but obviously very important. Again, you want to identify what type of bakery you're going to be. What are you going to offer? What's your price point going to be? How does that price point compare to other competitors in your market? So you're going to outline that here, which, just to say this, like, your lender is not going to be a bakery expert. So they're not going to knock your business plan on your menu. They just need to see it there because they would need to know that you know what you're talking about. But that's not going to make their decision, better or worse for the loan application. All right, moving along, marketing and sales. And this is going to bring us to point number 3, and that's going to be customer acquisition. So in the market analysis section, we wanted to demonstrate that there are customers available. Now in customer acquisition, we need to demonstrate how are we actually going to get those customers in the door. And once again, this can't be build it and they will come. You can't just trust that, and you can't tell your lender you're going to build a bakery, you're going to have a website, and people are just going to show up. That may get you an approval, but probably won't. What they want to see, again, they know you don't have a crystal ball. You can't predict exactly what your customer base is going to be, but they want to see that you've got some ideas. They want to see that you are testing some of those ideas. Some examples here might be do some test runs, whether that's at a local farmer's market, a local event, a local business or restaurant. Partner up with some people, find a place to bake things and sell them. Maybe let's say it's going to be a cake shop and you've been making custom cakes at your home and you just are selling them to friends and family or people in your neighborhood. That's great. Include those details here, right? Say I've baked 27 custom cakes, made X amount of money, include some feedback or testimonies from that. That's a demonstration you know what you're doing. You can, let's say you get a pre-signups for a founders club, right? You start spreading the word that you're thinking about opening up a bakery. Sign up now and you get a founders club discount for the first year. See how many signups you can get. Start your social media channel. Start building a local following. Make delicious looking cakes or whatever that is. Start getting a founder or a following of those people. Come up with some unique launch ideas. Not expensive, but a launch idea, an event or whatever that you're going to get people in the door. Any way you can find a way to track or record how many people are getting involved in something, how many times people bought something, that is great. What we call traction in your customer acquisition. You're demonstrating that you actually have some experience, that you're hustling, you're prepared to have some momentum when you open the doors versus you're just going to open up the doors and assume people are going to show up. So the more you can put for that detail in here, the better. And of course you can include things like website or a social media advertising campaign, or you're going to mail out flyers or that kind of thing. But I'm telling you, the thing that's going to make your business plan shine is if you can demonstrate traction in your customer acquisition. So that was key point number 3. Now we're going to keep moving along here. Financial projections. Now, obviously a little bit biased, but we at Projection Hub are obviously going to say that financial projections are the most important part of your business plan. That might sound biased, but even when I was a lender, the same was true. Financial projections are the most important part of this. To show you what's included in here is an example of a breakdown of your startup costs. Here's like a little 5-year projection breakdown of some of the key, financial line items, customer spend, percentage of cost. We've got our sales growth over the first 5 years, some key ratios, and then we're going to have 5-year financial pro forma statements for income statement or profit and loss. You might be familiar with that. Your balance sheet and a cash flow statement. Now, full transparency, those numbers that I just showed you were made using this financial projection template, which we sell. It's less than $100. I'm telling you, it's probably the easiest way you're going to generate reliable financial projections. This was built by our very own CPA on our staff. Show you it really quick. Everywhere that's blue is the only places you'll edit things, right? So put in the basic information, assets you need to purchase to get launched. It's going to help you calculate how much startup capital you actually need. It'll help you calculate some basic ways to acquire customers. You'll put in your menu, your categories. You'll put in your hourly employees, your operating costs like your rent and your insurance. And then you'll put in any salaried employees. And then the template does the rest. It's going to generate all of those charts, all of those numbers, all of the financial statements. So you got your income statement, annual, 5-year annual of those, bakery, or your balance sheet, income statement and cash flow, and then the monthly breakdown of each of those same statements. And that's going to be everything you're going to need for your lender. That template is linked down in the description. And at the end of the video, I'll even give you a promo code to get a discount on that even further. But if you have any questions about it, just reach out at support@projectionhub.com. But the financial projections are not key point number 4. You should have financial projections regardless. That will be a requirement. But key point number 4 is that your financial projections need to be realistic and they need to fall within industry expectations or industry norms. And maybe you wonder, well, how do I know that? How do I know what's normal or what's realistic? And very easy to do that. Go back to Google. Do a very basic search. Look for things like, what's a typical profit margin? Google is going to tell me, or you can go look at any one of the results and say 4 to 9% typical profit margins. Okay, well, how do I know what that's going to be? We go to our projections and we see, okay, first year is always going to be a little bit of an outlier because you just started up. It might be a partial year. You're probably not going to have as many customers at the beginning. So we expect to have a loss in the first year. But then as things grow and they stabilize, look at that, 6%, 4%, 9%, right within that 4 to 9% range. So we know that that's realistic. You can do that same exercise for revenue, percentage of cost of goods sold, typical number of customers, any one of those things that would be a part of your projections. You can go out and look to see what are industry standards, what are industry expectations, so that you can know you're within line. You can do the same thing for startup costs. So that is when you go to talking to your lender, they're not going to have a cheat sheet in front of them that says what is normal, right? Well, they might, but they might have some benchmarks for an industry. But if you know that you went out and you're comparing to what are their typical numbers out there, you can feel confident that your projections are a combination of 1, the homework that you've done, the menu you've put together, the skill that you have, and 2, that it doesn't look abnormal for another bakery that's been out there. That can help you feel confident that they're going to be realistic. So now the rest of the business plan, the projections are going to pretty much round it out. You can elaborate on staffing down here. Again, that's what I mentioned, part 2 of relevant experience. If you need to outline the team that you've got involved to demonstrate you have a team equipped with the right experience, you can do that here. And then your conclusion to wrap things up. But we're missing a fifth key point. And the fifth key point is mostly relevant if you're trying to get a loan for opening your business. And that is you need to be prepared to demonstrate skin in the game. And what does that mean? Okay, think about if you're buying a house and you getting a mortgage for your home. The bank is going to expect you to A, have a down payment as a percentage, probably at least 10%, 5%, 10%. And B, they're going to have a lien on your house because they're giving you a loan. So if you fail, if you default on paying back that loan, they're going to keep the house and you're going to lose your down payment. It's a very similar concept. Let's say it's going to take $100,000 to open up your bakery. The bank might say, we'll give you $80,000, but you have to put in the other 20%. You have to put in the other $20,000. Okay, so that's going to be your personal investment. That's a demonstration of skin in the game. And another portion of that is going to be collateral. Now, there are some lenders out there that will do unsecured loans. Expect a higher interest rate if that is the case. But especially if you're going to go to the bank, expect to have to put up collateral. Now, if you're buying a building, that's going to be your collateral. If you're renting a building, it might look like you have a title on a free and clear car that you can put towards the loan. The equipment in your bakery is going to be part of the collateral. Do you need to put a second mortgage on your house? Now, none of those things sound super fun. And I used to hear all the time as a lender, people say, okay, before I get started, I want to make sure we keep business and personal separate. Great advice for your accounting, your bank account, but that's just not going to happen when it comes to get funding. I'm going to let you know that right now. Your bank, your lender is going to require you to be just as invested and committed personally as they are, the business. So that's just to let you know you're going to have to be prepared to have some skin in the game. And then another example I'll put onto that, which isn't going to maybe carry as much weight like in an underwriting opinion, but your lender is going to like to hear, is let's say you have a full-time day job right now and you're opening this bakery. A lot of businesses think that the lender wants to hear, like, I'm going to quit my job today, so I'm invested in the business 100%. Now, that is going to be necessary at some point. The bank probably is going to want you to do that at some point. But on day one, they might actually like it more if you were going to keep working your job to supplement the income. And you're going to say, my partner and our key employee are going to be the ones running the bakery, and I'm going to be there on weekends, or I'm going to be there at night to clean up and do whatever, but I'm going to keep working for 6 months or 12 months to supplement income. Okay, so that's another demonstration of skin in the game. Put that in your business plan. Your lender's going to love to hear that. And that'll do it. That's 5 key points of how to make a bakery business plan and get it approved for funding. So again, this business plan template is free. I've linked it down in the description. You can go ahead and grab it. Also linked the financial projection template for the bakery, which is not free, but let me give you a discount code for that. If you use PH20BP, that'll give you 20%. I've linked the projection template here in the business plan. We also have a video that walks through how to fill out the whole thing, which makes it very easy. And you can reach out to us to ask questions and we'll help you fill it out as well. So thanks again and good luck with your bakery business plan.